Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of HFY, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Deathworlder Perspective, written by MasterFicus. The Gauti were an adaptive species of nothing else. Their planet had a mild climate, abundant mineral wealth, low gravity, and hyperactive tectonic plates. Approximately one-third of their planet was a freshwater ocean, changing shape every few years. The shorelines were constantly hammered by tsunamis caused by endless underwater earthquakes. The land was scarred at the plate boundaries by escaping lava, and mountains dominated the landscape. At the center of every plate was a more even landscape, usually dominated by lakes. Plants in the mountains were mostly moss or fungus-based. In the fields were forests, grasslands, and crops, all with massive root systems. Small predators and herbivores were unique to each haven between the plates, with birds one of the only exceptions. The Gauti were the other exception, resembling a cross between a mountain goat and an ape. They were fur-covered mammals with tough but semi-dexterous paws. They traveled between the plates in small herds, having exceptional balance in the mountains and smart enough to find the safest routes across the changing landscape that wouldn't burn their hardened paws. Travel between plates was necessary for replenishable grazing, mating, and sharing information between herds. As they advanced, the need to travel shifted from basic survival to trade and mating. Structures were designed to withstand the constantly shifting surface. Wars were fought between tribes. Tools and vehicles designed for moving mountains met this need. Communication towers on the peaks of shifting mountains were marvels of engineering. When the first aircraft was created, it awakened equal parts desire and fear of something previously unknown: stillness. In the air, the Gauti couldn't feel the shifting of the planet, couldn't hear the falling of the rocks and boulders. They could relax their balance. Their species united with this new goal: to experience physical calm, to fly higher, to go to space. It took generations, but the first Gauti flew among the stars, if only for a few minutes. This only fueled their desire, and within 30 cycles they landed on one of the 2 moons. In 70 cycles, a colony was established on the same moon. Now they looked farther. What else were they missing? Why couldn't they see anyone else out there? How far could they go? How fast? 450 cycles later, a prototype FTL engine was produced. All that was left was to test it. Status: car stable, engine warmed, FTL pre-checks complete, cooling functioning, backups on standby. Life support steady, emergency rations and supplies verified, all hull penetration sealed. Bay doors locked. Verified communications to base, escort craft in short-range comms. All systems are running smoothly. Plotted course is clear of traffic. Sensors indicate empty space except for another phantom rock approximately 35,000 miles out. It's 10,000 miles from the test run path. Path forward is clear. The captain looked pleased. After all, this was a big moment for everyone. Conditions couldn't be better, and if anything short of catastrophic failure occurred, the escort ships could save everyone from life pods. The phantom rock was a little unsettling, but those things showed up on sensors from time to time. No one's ever hit one, and they disappear after a few seconds. The common theory is faulty sensors or space dust. Very well, let us be a resounding success, or an experience to learn from, but do not let us be a failure. Aye, aye, Captain. Maneuvering, take us to cruising speed. Start the FTL engine when ready. Aye, aye, Captain. The captain sat and fastened his harness, as did the rest of the small crew. Excitement, fear, joy, curiosity, but most of all anticipation filled the crew. The ship began to accelerate. The escort ships followed at a distance. The ship attained cruising speed. The captain gripped the arms of his chair and leaned forward, waiting for the experimental engine to take over. He fought the urge to give the order. This was maneuvering's time for glory. They were professionals taking every safety precaution, and he wouldn't rush them. Con, maneuvering, answering cruising speed, starting the FTL engine. Maneuvering Kong, aye. The hull shook as the FTL matched cruising speed, and the cruising engine was secured. The crew was pushed into their seats, and the stars seemed to stretch into oval shapes. Navigation equipment began to freeze with a drastic change in information. Captain, they just entered FTL. No sign of damage. Escorts are following at subspeeds. Understand all. Maintain cloak. Follow them to their destination. Inform the ambassador. Place boarding crew on standby. Aye, aye, Captain. Captain, navigation equipment is struggling with FTL travel as expected. At current estimated speed, we should reach the target location in 15 seconds. Very well, Nav. The navigation officer was yelling as if the FTL speed was deafening, when in fact the engine noise itself was the only audible indication that it was functioning, and even that wasn't very loud. The captain didn't blame him, though. The entire control room was tense. Maneuvering, Con. Take us off FTL engine. Answer all stop. All stop, Con. Maneuvering, aye. The engine noise faded to silence, then returned at half the intensity, now slowing the ship. Navigation equipment began to return as the ship exited FTL. The FTL engine then secured, followed by the cruising engine slowing the ship to a stop. Con, maneuvering. The FTL engine is secured, answering all stop. Maneuvering Con, aye. The captain released his harness and stood up, followed by the crew releasing their own harnesses. Status report. Core stable and returning to lower power level. Engine is warmed. FTL engine is secured and indicating no faults. Knife support is unaffected. Hull maintained integrity. All hatches, bays, and seals remained airtight. Communications with base and escorts lost due to range. Equipment is fully functional. No damage. Navigation equipment restored. We overshot our target by 80,000 miles. Steering during FTL was unresponsive. It will take approximately 20 hours for the receiving escorts to reach us, and a 16-day return trip if we use the cruising engine. Understand all. Navigation inform me when contact is established with escorts. Maneuvering, cool the FTL and prepare it for removal and return for inspection. Maintain the cruising engine warm. Supply, coordinate meals and necessities for the 2-week return trip. Make something nice for tonight's celebration. Captain, Phantom Rock 600 meters directly ahead and closing. The captain nearly fell over in shock. This is the closest a Phantom Rock has ever been to a spacecraft. The closest reported was 4,000 meters. Captain, the rock is growing? The captain stopped seconds from ordering evasive maneuvers. This object was responding to them. How? Why now? 500 meters. It's still growing slightly, maybe 70,000 tons of iron or something lighter. 400 meters. It stopped growing, approximately 100,000 tons of metal. It's shaped. Instruments say the rock has straight edges. 300 meters. It stopped approaching, focusing the camera and projecting the image on the main screen now. A massive hulk of flattened metal filled the screen. It was shaped like 2 triangles on top of each other, with flat portion in the middle, housing several bay doors and large weapons. Alien writing marked the side, and drawing of a female bipedal mammal holding what appeared to be a weapon was adorned behind it. That's a ship. That's an alien ship, the captain finally managed. The entire control room was silent. All right, pilot, no showing off. They're under a lot of stress right now, and we don't want to startle them into doing anything foolish. The pilot didn't bother to tell the ambassador to go feck himself. This was his shuttle. He's flown it countless times without some smooth talker telling him how to do his job. And he won't start now. The shuttle bay doors opened, and the boarding shuttle departed from the Navy cruiser. The pilot was now white-knuckling the controls in a silent rage. But the ambassador didn't notice. He was concentrating on the mission. This was his first time introducing a pre-contact species to the universe, and he didn't want to mess it up. Captain, a bay is opening. The alien ship opened a bay door and released a single shuttle, box-like and adorning weapons on the sides, top and bottom. Stay calm, everyone. The main ship's guns aren't pointed at us. We don't know what they want. The captain let out a curse under his breath. Even if they did mean to harm his crew, there was nothing they could do about it. There wasn't a single weapon on board or mounted to the ship. Running was worthless at close range, and the escorts couldn't scratch this thing, even if they weren't over 120,000 miles away. Navigation sent a message to the escorts explaining the situation. Already done, sir. If this is first contact, I don't want it to be done through a camera. Open the viewing shutter. Aye, aye, sir. As the shuttle approached, a thick shutter at the nose of the alien ship slid to the side to reveal a thick glass window and a control room inhabited by the native species humans had been monitoring for the last 300 years. Drive carefully, though. They're watching us. Don't want them thinking that you can't fly. That's all it took. The pilot to press the impact warning button, a common warning for his crew to stay strapped in place. Then the shuttle veered away from the nose of the ship and accelerated. The pilot was grinning and giddy as the ambassador panicked and begged in the passenger seat. Meanwhile, the shuttle was passing within a few feet of the alien ship. Came back around to do it back to front, and ended with a little spin just in front of the nose. The pilot stopped and leveled the shuttle, turned off the impact warning, and turned to face his shaking passenger, grin still on his face. Don't want them thinking I can't fly, sir. The ambassador had no response. He was focused on getting his breathing back under the control. All right, boys, we're here. Get out there and make your parents proud. With that radio transmission, the back of the shuttle opened, and two sailors in suits left the shuttle with a peculiar item in their possession. What was that? A show of force? No, Nav. I believe it was a greeting. The captain moved in silence as his navigation and supply officer were debating the erratic shuttle movements. He stopped just in front of the viewing window, watching the shuttle open, and two beings exited in suits. The room, once again, grew silent as they watched these two suits bring a thin metal sheet closer to them. When they landed on the viewing window, everyone but the captain jumped back. Then they held the metal directly in front of it. Why did they look so familiar? Captain, sir, is that what I think it is? What do you think it is? The captain was genuinely curious. The navigation operator speaking was young and came up from a tribe with a jet black fur, an adaptation from living primarily in the charred mountains between plates. Not a genetic adaptation, but cultural, achieved with dyes. The operator was usually quite reserved and had observed climbing skills due to his tribe, but always hid his more educated and, nerdy behavior from his crew and family. The captain knew this and decided to play along as if he believed him, just as the rest of the crew did. However, now his operator's thirst for random facts may prove advantageous. Captain, sir, I think that's a launched helix. The captain's eyes widened as he realized he was right. Hundreds of years ago, satellites were launched in all directions with wideband communications, always broadcasting, and a sheet of engraved metal, all meant for contacting intelligent life. Many of them have gone dark over the decades, and it looks like these aliens have captured one. Captain, sir, I'm picking up a low-frequency broadcast from the shuttle. It has directional pattern straight at us. I believe it's audio. Play it over the 1MC. Find me a way to return the signal. Aye, aye, Captain. A few seconds of feedback over the 1MC makes the entire crew cringe for a few seconds, followed by a few seconds of static noise. Then a robotic voice echoes throughout the silent ship. Greetings, experimental ship of the Gutin. Congratulations on achieving faster-than-light travel. We've been waiting for you to make the jump ever since we found your beacon in the dark, and watched with anticipation as you developed a colony on your moon. If you can hear this message, wave back to the sailors outside your ship. As the transmission ended, the two suits started to move their arms back and forth at him. The captain stood frozen for a moment before returning the foreign gesture. The suit stopped, and one clenched his fist with his thumb pointed up. The captain was not sure what he expected alien life to be like. But with the vastly different ships, gestures, and flying styles, it took a lot of effort just to keep calm. The transmission then continued. We are the human race, and you are not alone. We will watch and protect you as needed, and allow you to continue to develop your own technology just as we did. We have so much more to discuss. We'll follow you back to your world to get introduced properly. End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Draxoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.